Mitch, I'm
But we'll
not
do it
gonna,
again.
dude. I really hope so because I feel like a bounty hunter at this point. Because I've been trying to track you down for years. I shit you not, dude. I mean, like, just to give you an idea, okay, of
So
how
you've
long.
asked me to interview?
Well,
You've asked.
we never had a chance to get connected. Like, I would always miss you in passing, but I have been trying to get you since I first met Mike Morgan, all right, who I know is a mutual friend, Austin Moe, all right. He's a phenomenal guitarist. And, so they brought you up to me way back. And then I'd learned that you were going to be becoming the lead singer for Great White. And this is going back a few years now. And I got Mark Kendall on my show. He was on the podcast and we were talking about you. And, at that
Okay.
point in time,
Okay.
you hadn't actually started with Great White yet. This was all still very much in the
Right.
beginning. And Mark was just singing your praises, which, I firmly understood. And, even going back, I'd reached out to a friend of mine who you may be familiar with, Vinny Moore. And, so Vinny's like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
yeah, I know Mitch Malloy. We were supposed to do something back in the day, but then things happened
Yeah.
and, as they do. And,
Yeah.
but, he was
Yeah.
definitely a big fan of your singing. And, obviously he's a world renowned guitarist with
Yeah.
UFO.
He's done
And,
great.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Really
so
well.
I've been stalking you for years. And here we
Okay.
are.
Well, here I am, man.
Here we are. So
So, are
everybody,
we on? Are
we
we?
are live.
And
We are on right
have
now.
we started?
Yes, we started. We already started.
Okay.
Yes. But yeah, Mitch, thank you so much for joining me on Rock Titan. And again, everybody, we are here with Mitch Malloy, who we've been tracking down forever. And he's got a brand new album out right now, The Last Song. And I
Yeah.
speak for myself, but I think confidently everyone else too. I hope it's not your last song. And, just based on what I know about you as a musician, it's definitely not your last song. So just, can you make that clear right now? This is not your last song?
Well, you never know, right?
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
um.
But I'll tell you right now,
Yeah.
if you stop making music, which I know you're not going to do, man, you have got to have like endorsements and sponsors for hair product and teeth and teeth whitener, man, because
I don't. No, no, I don't have any of that.
well, that needs to happen because I reached out to
Yeah, man.
Vinny Moore, like I said, and I'm like, yo, you got to check out, some of Mitch's new stuff. And so I sent him your video because at that point I hadn't had the opportunity to listen to, the last song all the way through, which I have at this point, and it's great. But so I sent him the video for One of a Kind,
Yeah.
and Vinny just said, "Dude, I had no idea that Malloy could play guitar like that." But not
Ah.
only that, where the hell does he get off having such white teeth? I need to know his secret. And I think
Dude,
everybody else would like to know
my
that
teeth,
too.
my my teeth. Okay, the story. When I was 9, I smashed out my front teeth.
Oh.
So my teeth are not real. So just chill, people. Okay.
Oh, do you have a good story behind that, I hope? Was it like a hockey
20
related?
grand, man.
Yeah.
20 grand.
Yeah. 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 No.
Yes. 9 years old. I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing. I was up on a spillway, the dam down the road from my house
Okay.
with my buddies. And we were climbing up the spillway, which is this massive cement structure. And I slipped on some moss. There was water running down it and there was moss on it. And I
Oh.
slipped and it was tilted like it was shaped like this, like a big, huge spillway from a dam.
Yeah.
Like, what was I doing at 9 years old? I mean, like the structure was this massive structure. No kids should be on it. There shouldn't be, you know what I mean? Anyway, I smashed out my front teeth, and so I got these.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Everything happens for a reason. You got $1 million smile. That's for sure, regardless of what
Yeah,
they
it
cost.
was painful.
Oh man. Well, it's funny you brought that up because actually my son who's coming home from the Air Force tomorrow for a little bit of leave, so I can't wait to have my boy back with me. But when he was in high school, he ended up knocking out one of his front teeth with a medicine ball. They're playing some medicine ball, passing back and
Yeah.
forth game, and whoosh, not the most
Yeah.
coordinated individual, although since he joined the Air Force, I'm sure that's changed a little bit. I hope. And but so he needs to have a surgical implant. You know, we've just been waiting on that. So yeah, yeah. No, I can definitely appreciate that. But man, you are the man with some hair and some teeth. Who cares if it's real or not? You look beautiful. And
The hair's real, bro.
dude, where the hell do you get
Teeth
off,
are not
man?
real.
Yeah,
The
well,
hair is all.
yeah, well, my
Yeah.
teeth are real. I'd rather have fakes, and you know, my hair. Well, I don't have that either. You know, so
Sorry.
you know, yeah, I know. I get a lot of that. You know, every time I say, "Oh man, I'm sorry," but the one thing
Yeah.
that no one should be sorry about is the last song. So, Mitch,
Right.
you know, you've got it. It's available right now for the public. Yes.
It's in pre-sale still. It's in pre-sale mode from Sing Records out of Canada.
Okay.
So we're in vinyl. They approached me kind of in the last, at the last minute, and they were like, "Are you gonna do vinyl?" And I'm like, "No, man. Vinyl's a pain in the butt, and it's gonna, like, delay everything, and da 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 da." And they were like, "Well, let's show you some numbers." So they showed me some numbers, and I'm like, "Maybe I will do some vinyl."
You know what?
So
It's yeah.
it set it back. It set it way back, and so we did this big package vinyl costs so much to produce
Right.
that you have to charge so much for it to be able to make it, and then with the shipping and everything. So, like, the cost of it is expensive, so the only way to make that appealing is to do special videos. I did acoustic versions of songs just for the people who buy the vinyl.
Okay.
There's posters, there's signed pictures, there's all this stuff that they get. They even get a live concert.
Oh, nice.
If you buy the vinyl, you get entered for a golden ticket, and, like, I think 20 people, we decided 15, 20 people win the golden ticket, and I'm gonna be sitting here playing them a private concert.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah, so, for the money, they get a whole bunch of stuff. It's a huge package, but some people still can't afford, the money, so they're waiting for the CD, and the CD comes out July 7th.
Okay,
That's the
July
official
7th.
release date.
Nice.
Yeah.
The day before my
Yeah.
birthday. All right.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
Cool.
Very cool. So, everybody, Mitch Malloy's got
Yeah.
the golden ticket. He's offering up 25 of them. And then you get the
The golden
show.
boy with the golden ticket.
That's
Yeah.
it. The golden boy with the golden tickets. You got it all. Oh, man. One of the things I'm curious about, Mitch, because I didn't see it anywhere, and maybe I missed it because I have ADD and I'm not dyslexic, but you know, sometimes I can read past certain things. But I didn't see who else was involved with you on the last song. I know some musicians that are as talented as yourself. They don't just do the singing and the guitar playing, but they'll also, you know, play the bass and the drums and the keyboards and do all that stuff as well. Was that the case with the last song with you, or did you actually have a full entourage that you'd brought on to do this?
No, it's just me. It's all me.
Really?
Uh, yeah, my last record was called Making Noise, and I had just produced, I don't know, 3, 4 rock bands,
Okay.
and I had started, like, I was working with great talented people, but when you're producing a record and then the band is gone and you're like, "Oh, man, if the bass did this, it would be so much better." So then I find, like, there's no way for me to change that except for if I do it. So then I'm like, and plus, the band Chicago approached me about being their lead singer, bass player many years ago. So I
Wow.
became proficient on bass for that reason, right?
Okay.
And then I found myself, I've been playing keyboard since I was 7.
Okay.
You know, I started on keyboards, and then I've been playing drums since I was 10, I think.
Oh, wow.
So people don't know this about me, but I basically grew up in the studio, and had a studio in my home since I was 17, right?
Oh,
So
man.
I have so many hours logged in the studio, it's insane, like, it's not normal, not normal.
That's
So,
awesome, though, man.
I've become proficient, and people don't know that about me because I don't know, I don't talk about it or whatever. But so this record, it's all me, like, nobody. I wrote the songs by myself, and I recorded everything by myself, and I mixed it by myself, and I mastered it by myself, and yeah. So I'm very efficient, I guess you could say.
Uh, Efficient is the humble way of putting it. Um, but I would say,
Well,
what
nobody
an
likes an asshole.
extraordinary talent. I mean, to play all those instruments, I mean, that's pretty amazing. I don't know a whole lot of artists that do that. Like, like with Vinny, he plays the bass. Okay. I can understand how a guitarist would also be able to play the
Yeah,
bass. And I know a lot of guitarists
absolutely.
also play like the piano, the, keyboards, just because it's
Yeah,
such a foundational instrument. But not
yeah.
necessarily the drums, unless you're like David Grohl, I mean, I don't know
Who
how
is a
many musicians
mon-
do it.
he's a monster talent. But yeah, I think the thing that's probably the most unusual about what I do is I actually mix the record. Like there's a lot of like I think
Right.
like Prince and a couple other guys will sit and create everything by themselves, but they don't necessarily mix the record. But
Right.
the mixing aspect is something I developed just because there was nobody else to do it. I come from a small town, right? So I wasn't surrounded by all these people who are super talented. I had my buddies in my band
Right.
who were really talented and still are really talented, but I didn't have anybody to do all this other stuff. So I had to learn how to do it myself, right? So it's just out of necessity that I know how to make a record by myself. It's just that it's not like an egotistical thing like, "Oh, I'm going to do this." It was just like, "Well, I got nobody else to do this." So I like my debut album, I only just sang and played guitar. That's all I did because I was surrounded by RCA unlimited budget
Right.
to get Mickey Kurt and to get Huey McDonald on bass and have CJ Vanston playing keys and whoever. Like we just got whoever we wanted.
Right.
Um, Jeff Scott Soto sang backgrounds on the record. I mean, we got whoever we wanted,
Right.
but I don't have an unlimited budget anymore. So I'm by myself. I can afford myself. So
Yeah. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
I just do it. I just do it by myself. It's a blast.
Right.
It's so much.
Right. Well, you
Yeah.
have that freedom, right? You have that creative,
Yeah.
productive
Yeah.
freedom. You have no one to answer to
Yeah.
but yourself. So, yeah, I would imagine that's pretty
I get
amazing.
I do get a little annoyed. I do get a little annoyed though when people are like, "Well, yeah, with technology now you can do it." I'm like, "Hang on a second. The technology did not play the bass." You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like I played all that stuff.
Right.
I mean,
So, to that notion, Mitch, in thinking about going out and supporting the last song right now, everybody, there's 25 golden tickets out there where you can get a real special experience with Mitch Malloy. So be on the lookout for that. And then
yeah.
July 7th, this will be out on other
Yep.
media platforms. Um, but in terms of
Yeah.
being able to support this live, have you thought that
Yeah.
far
Oh,
ahead? Do you have the intention of supporting this live, and how would that work?
yeah, yeah. We have some shows. We're planning to do some shows, and I won't be doing a lot of new stuff though in the show.
Okay,
I'll do one of a kind, for sure.
right on.
So I'll probably do that off the new record and maybe one other song. But I have such a long career of so many things, and
Sure.
I'd also like to represent all my kind of my history
Hmm.
in the business because I have a history that people don't know about, like the Chicago thing. People don't know about that.
I didn't know
So
about that.
maybe I
Yeah.
bust. Yeah, so maybe I bust out 25 or 624 live, and do like a rockin' like, metal version of that. Or and maybe play a little Van Halen. People know about that. And maybe play a little Great White. People know about that, obviously. That I think that's kind of how the show's gonna go. It's gonna be sort of like the history of my career, just because these are cool things that happened to me and I want to talk about them. And there's some other bands that I haven't talked about that I almost did.
All right.
So
Well, I love it. No, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, so go ahead. So that's kind of what the show I think is going to be like. So it's not like I'm going to roll out like old school and play the last song album. You know what I mean? That's not what the show's going to be.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I did want
Yeah.
to touch on Van Halen really briefly, not to rehash the entire history that you have with them, but there was a particular
Yeah.
song on the last song that I felt the way you performed it and just lyrically the way it was, the way you composed it, it felt like such a Van Halen song that could have been
Oh,
amazing.
cool.
But so I'm going to touch on that in a second. But you just referred
Okay.
to other bands that could have
Yeah.
been, obviously, like everyone knows about Van Halen. You had a really nice little run
Yeah.
there with Great White, which I thought you were a great fit for. And then you talked about
Thank-
Chicago. What are some other
Yeah.
bands that we may have seen Mitch Malloy with?
Well,
Are you at liberty?
well, I've, I've, yeah. I mean, I would probably rather just wait and
Okay.
bust those out live.
All
Yeah,
right.
but
All
they're
right.
big, big bands.
Well, I have no doubt. You got the hair, you got the teeth. So, of course, not only do you sound great, but you look the part. I mean, you're as beautiful as any frontman as there is in the business. I mean, let's just face it. Looks play a part. I mean, you could be a troll up there on stage, and if you've got the talent, okay, all right, the talent will shine through. There are some frontmen that you wouldn't necessarily expect would be the huge sensations that they are, but their talent shines through. But when you've got the whole package,
Yeah.
like a Mitch Malloy, it only helps. Sincerely, and everyone's gonna be watching,
Thanks.
The Rock Titan podcast right now, saying, "Oh, look at Scotty J, look at him blowing all the sunshine and rainbows up Mitch's rear end." Now, I'm sincere. I truly, I mean it. What I say, I
No, I could
mean,
tell.
and
Yeah.
anyone that I've ever spoken
Yeah.
to, they would attest that my sincerity is there. But getting back to the song that I thought would have been phenomenal, with Van Halen off the last song album that you just did, "You're the Brightest Star." When I heard "You're the
Ah,
Brightest Star," it was just like, "Oh my god!" Like I could have seen like a Sammy Hagar performing this with Van
yeah.
Halen, like without a doubt. But you wrote it. This is your song.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of there's a lot of I mean, it's funny because I have a song, that I wrote with Ed, um, "It's the Right Time," which
Mm,
people kinda compare that to a Sam kind of thing as well,
okay.
and 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 I've got to be influenced by Sammy. I mean, it's got I'm definitely influenced by Van Halen,
Hmm.
and I'm definitely influenced by Sammy. I mean, I grew up on all that stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, Sam writes a really good pop rock song. I mean, he's written a bunch of them, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, so yeah, I mean, I think that's gonna come out and I didn't intentionally try to do that. The thing with music for me is it's not pretentious. Like I really value it. I think it's a spiritual thing and it just happens. And I can think, "Oh, I want to write a song." I can think that
Hmm.
or not even. Like it just happened like without thinking about it. And so I don't ever go, "I want to write something that sounds like Van Halen." Cuz I don't even know how to do that. Like I write whatever comes out. So it's a natural process and it's organic and it's 100% genuine, you know? And some people like what I do and some don't. And, you know, that's just the way, it's the way it is for anybody, I think. I mean, some people don't like Van Halen. It's like
Sure. Yeah. No.
people
Everyone
tell me
has their
people tell me
preference.
that.
Yeah. Everyone has their
People are
preference.
like, "Well, but I like your music better than Van Halen." And I'm like, "Really?" Like, "What's wrong with you?"
Right on. Well, and Mitch, I didn't mean that. Like when you wrote that particular song, that
No,
you
no, no,
wrote it
no.
with them in
Yeah,
mind. It just when I heard it, I was like, oh man, like
yeah.
I can definitely
It's a
hear
massive
this.
compliment.
I can hear this.
Yeah.
I can hear the influence. For sure.
It's a massive, massive compliment. I
That
appreciate
would
it.
have
Yeah.
been yours. Now, I mean it sincerely, and I mean obviously, you know, there was an opportunity there back in the day. You walked away from
Yeah.
it, of your own free will. And, obviously everyone's already read about that. We know. But I'm just
Yeah.
curious, since the legend, that is Eddie passed away 2.5 years now. I can't even believe it. Um,
I know.
and retrospect, hindsight, everything's 2020, right? But do you do you have any regrets? I hate to use that word regret because it's like to me it's such an ugly word. But do you think you might have done anything differently? Would you have made a different decision if you knew that your time with Eddie was going to be so finite? at that time, like knowing that we've just lost him now. Do you wish you would have had that experience any more so as a result? You know what I mean?
Well, sometimes I wonder if things would have been different if I was out there, like if I was in LA, like if I was in the mix, like if I was hanging out, I
Right.
was, those were my people and I was in that world.
Hmm.
But I just chose to not be
Right.
out there. You know,
Okay.
I chose to not be part of that. And and he always commended me for that, to be honest, you know. Because I mentioned it to him once. I said, I mean, when we were talking about me being in the band, obviously we were talking about me moving there.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But then after that was over, I asked him, I said, "Do you think I should be out in LA?" And he's like, "No, man, stay where you are. Don't come here." Like he was really like, "No, man, you don't want to live here. You don't belong here." Because
Okay.
I'm not like, I'm just I never felt like I fit in there, believe it or not. Everybody thinks I'm from there when they see me, like, "You must be from LA, man." I'm
Right.
like, "Oh, really? Well, why do you think that?"
Yeah, there is nothing that appears surfer about you, like whatsoever. Not at all. No, there isn't a golden boy element about you. I don't know where anyone would get that idea.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me.
that's
Yeah.
so funny. That's
But,
so funny.
some things are not what they seem.
Oh man. Well, I know that more so than singing, more so than playing all the instruments that you play. Really, I think for you, I'm speaking for you here, Mitch. But being a songwriter, to me, it seems like that is probably the most important thing for you about being a musician is that being the author of the song. And I guess,
Absolutely,
yeah, yeah,
because if you don't have the song, you don't have anything.
right,
And I wasn't always as good of a writer as I am now. I had to really develop that. And I worked really hard at that. And I was lucky to write with the greats.
mm,
I was lucky to write with the Desmond Childs of the world and learn from them, watch how they work, learn from how they work. And that helped me so much. All the great writers in Nashville, Victoria Shaw, just watching people, Gary Burr, I wrote with like Mike Reed, just Jim Weatherly. I mean, legend songwriters who really nurtured and taught me along the way just by me watching what they do. So yeah, I mean, I am really proud of that. And I hate to cut this short, but I have another interview I have to do.
oh man, you got to go. Okay, because I was just all right. Well, like you said at the beginning of
Yeah,
this, we got to do a part two because I definitely want to get into the songwriting and how you
let's
feel
come
about
back.
writing a great song for someone else versus writing one for yourself and seeing how that's received. So everybody, we're just going to pause there. Mitch Malloy's got to go, but we're going to come back and I'll try not to talk as much about his beautiful hair and teeth next time we get going. But we'll
I
dive
could come
more into
back.
the music.
Yeah, I could come back next week. I mean, if you have time
Yeah,
again, I
yeah, yeah,
could.
yeah. No,
We
we'll
could.
definitely we'll definitely have to catch back up and I'll reach out to the powers that be to see if we can do that. But in the meantime, everybody, we are with Mitch Malloy. He's got the last song. It's going to be out on all platforms July 7th, and you can go out and get the golden ticket right now. We're going to have the links in the podcast and everything like that. Mitch, thank you so much for your time. It's been a blast talking with you on Rock Titan.
Thank you, sir. It's about time.
All right, man. Yeah, right on. All right, we'll catch up soon.
Take care.
Later. Thanks again for watching. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also catch us at www.rocktitan.tv.